kilometers from the main extermination center of Birkenau. Tens of thousands of prisoners sent here to build the vast IG Farben plant at Monowitz were literally worked to death.
But the work was carrying cement bags from a train to a building where they were building more buildings, their factories. But we were not allowed to walk with this bag. We had to run, day in, day out, 25 kilos, which is tremendously heavy.
The work was supervised by capos, prisoners put in charge of other prisoners.
Capos were watching you, and the capos are ex-criminals, rapists, murderers, men with bad tempers, who taken out of the prisons by the Nazis, taken to the camps to do the dirty work for the Nazis. So you can expect anything of those men.
They were murderers, they were really heavy criminals, and they had the power of life or death over us. They walked around with this stick, and when we didn't run fast enough with our cement bag on the back, we got hit by capos.
It was a bad life, a frightened bad life. And that's why a lot of them didn't want, they couldn't no more, they didn't want to, they gave up. They didn't see nothing nice, what is still in store. I did, my wife and child, and I wanted to be back. But a lot of them didn't, and they died because they were weak. We became weak. And I remember the day, the selection, big barrack full of men, undress. There's 2 tables in the front, on each table an SS, and we got to move up toward the 2 tables. Behind me is Eddie Hamel, a man, a professional footballer from Ajax, Amsterdam. He is behind me and he says, I got an abscess in my mouth and I don't know what's going to happen.
We had to line up completely naked and we had to walk in front of them, and we all had the drive to be straight, chest out, and show them how wonderful you can walk in front of them and smile at them to show I'm all right, you know, don't select me, because we knew when you're getting selected, you will go, you don't live anymore.
The queue moves up. I'm near the 2 tables. I walk between the 2 tables, and the SS directs me to the right. And as I walk away, I look behind me, thinking Eddie Hamel will come behind me. He's directed to the left, and I never saw Eddie Hamel again. He was a guest because he had an abscess in his mouth.
So many were selected and never seen again. Even if one of the girls had a full bust, they were suspecting that she's pregnant or something, and never seen again.
The killings in the summer of 1944 were on such a scale that the crematoria could not cope. This aerial reconnaissance photograph, taken on the 25th of August, shows a large plume of smoke in the area behind Crematorium 5. To increase the extermination potential of Birkenau, some of the bodies from the gas chambers were burnt in open pits.
Corpses were stacked up at the back of the crematoria. We saw people lined up being actually shot and heard the shots, and saw people being thrown into the pits and burnt alive, some people.
Winston Churchill was appalled by reports of the killings at Auschwitz. He called it probably the greatest and most horrible crime ever committed in the whole history of the world. He was immediately in favor of the proposal by the Jewish agency to bomb the camp. "Get anything you can out of the Air Force," he wrote. "Invoke me if necessary." The Air Ministry gathered to discuss the feasibility of the bombing. The debate centered on whether the Allies could carry out raids with the precision to destroy the gas chambers and crematoria without killing thousands of inmates. The first option was a precision raid by low-flying Mosquito bombers, requiring a 1,200-mile flight to Poland.
To mount a precision bombing attack on Auschwitz, it was a very difficult operation to mount, very long distances from bases either in the Mediterranean or in England, and I think that to actually bomb precisely at that range would have been extremely difficult with the aircraft that were capable of doing it.
Many of the requests to bomb focused on the railway lines leading to the death camp.
The railways could certainly have been bombed in 1944. They were bombing railways all over Europe, of course, when they chose to. The problem here, of course, is, first of all, that it's a very difficult target to hit. Secondly, you can interrupt a railway, and you can be up and operating again within a matter of hours, at the very latest in a matter of days. Germans were mending railways all over Europe, often using slave labor. So I think the problem there is that attacking the railways would mean attacking the railways over and over again, and that would mean the diversion of very much more substantial resources.
They didn't think they ought to try to divert resources. They had 1,000 things to worry about. There's chaos on all fronts. The Allies were fighting two wars, one in Europe and one in the Pacific against Japan. And winning the war became the main object of all endeavors.
The next option considered to destroy the mechanism of extermination was a raid by heavy bombers. This could stop the killing in the gas chambers, but would also endanger the lives of the prisoners still incarcerated in the camp.
We were waiting, we were hoping for bombs. Even though it could have hit us, but we were hoping that they are bombing. I didn't mind dying by the bombs. For me, it was more important that that something happened from outside, that somebody was doing something.
Since the request to bomb Auschwitz in July 1944, the Allies had considered its feasibility. Increasing information about the extermination camp continued to fuel the debate. Could a heavy bombing mission be planned in time to halt the killing?
By 1944, the Allies were capable of planning and mounting a bombing operation in a very short space of time. I mean, this was a sophisticated organization now. So I think we should be in no doubt that it was operationally possible for British and American bombers to reach Auschwitz in 1944.
But questions remained about the effectiveness of a heavy bomber raid on Auschwitz.
Bombing an extermination camp is quite different from bombing a military-industrial target. A bombing raid of a military-industrial target consists of flying over at about 30,000 feet or 25,000 feet and simply dropping bombs on them. There was no way to be more precise about this. In fact, more than half